Let me share my screen. This is where we finished. Raro, R-A-R-O. I just realized I didn't put the actual adjective in it in Spanish, raro. And it means rare, rare. Okay, and it's a cognate. But it's a cognate in both meanings, Okay, here we go. Adjective which goes before the noun, suficiente, suficiente dinero, suficiente pan. It goes before, you don't say pan suficiente, or another example, suficiente. It goes before when it means sufficient. Oh, by the way, this is a cognate. Triste. Now, triste, when it goes before the, now I always like to start with when it goes after. When it goes after, it's what you normally think of triste. Triste, sad. Right? Sad. But when it goes before, there's a subtle difference. You're wretched, you're dejected, you're down, you're depressed. And to be depressed, part of being depressed is being sad, right? But part of being sad is not always being depressed. For example, if something tragic happens, right? Something tragic happens, you're going to be sad. There's a reason why you're sad, right? There's a reason. Hombre triste. There's a reason. Mujer triste, niña triste, right? There's a meaning. There's a reason, I should say. Something tragic happens. But that's different than being triste hombre, triste mujer, triste niño, triste niña. When that's part of who you are, is being wretched or dejected or down or depressed. You're just sad. Why are you sad? I don't know. Maybe my hormones are acting up. I don't know. Not that much more to go. Good. So going to be a very short video. All right, here we go. Adjectives before versus adjective after. Valiente. You know, valiente, valiant. We don't use it that much in these, which means courageous. You're a courageous person. That's the one that's after. That's the meaning that you normally think of. But valiente also has another meaning. It's ironic, to be great. Es un valiente hombre, es un valiente mujer. And you can tell by the expression, by the way someone says it, that it's meant ironically. They're not. Right? I remember this woman, this is in Mexico. She would say, sí, para variar, right? And for a while there, I mean, I got it, but didn't get it. We would be in the car. She said, sí, para variar. And then she would mean, she was using the word ironically. She would always do that. And I got to the point where I got it and I would laugh because she was saying, in order to change up, but in other words, he's just like you would expect, or she's just like you would expect. But she said, and para variar. And it was ironic. And I really thought, I said, oh, I'm learning Spanish because you begin to get at those deeper layers. Okay. Oh, adjectives before versus adjectives after. Here we go. Varios, which means various, which is the cognate, or assorted, various. So that goes after. Oh, you know what I just realized? I changed the color. So the pink here is the one that's blue at top. Usually I keep the colors the same, but for whatever reason, either I changed the colors or the color was changed. But sometimes you think you're pushing one color and you're another. I didn't realize it. But anyway, so the second one is always when it goes after. So it means various, which is a cognate of varios or assorted. But when it goes before, it means several. There, I think it's almost the same meaning, but there's a nuanced difference, because various means not just several, but several of different kinds. Where it goes before, you just mean several. It could be several of the same kind or type, or of different types. It doesn't really matter. And then the last one is viejo. Viejo. Okay? And this word is used a lot. It's even used as a noun. When it goes after it, it means you're old, honey. Una mujer vieja. Un hombre viejo. You don't hear it that much, just like you don't hear it in English, somebody calling someone old. Although I see no problem with it. If you're old, you're old. That means you've been on the planet longer. That's all. Right? Now, what people attach onto it culturally, that's a different story, because a lot of times people don't want to say old, because they're not talking about how long you've been on the planet. They're talking about that you're stagnant. You're someone who has been left behind. You're someone who's, decrepit, you're sickly. Right? That is not an inherent part of being old. You can be 100 years old. What's his name? Dr. Fauci. He's 80 years old. He has more energy and is doing more than somebody not, someone half his age, 2/3 his age, 1/4 of his age. So he's old, viejo, but he's not old in the sense of decrepit or left behind. Okay. Now, viejo also has another meaning, a more secondary meaning. When you're not talking literally, you're talking previous or long-standing. Yeah. Once again, we would use the word old for both in English, but we would explain whether we mean, well, the context would tell you whether you mean someone who's, old because they're over 45, 50 years old. I don't know what older is anymore. Is it 60? Is it 70? Versus if you mean previous, my old address or my old friend. I'm not talking about my old friend meaning amigo viejo, like he's old. Look at me going old. But I mean, he's a long-standing friend, viejo amigo. He's a long-standing friend. He's someone who's been my friend for a very long time. There's something that bothers me, and I just realized, and I don't want two things. This is a mistake, because I should have made it I should have made it the same color that's in the title. I should have made it the same color. And let me go back. No. This. What I should have put was raro, not rare. That's a mistake. Raro, R-A-R-O. R-A-R-O. So that's a mistake. So raro, which means singular or unique, a singular individual or a unique individual, someone that you don't meet every day, someone who is different. But many times it's positive. And then raro for the next one is R-A-R-O again. But when it goes after, it means strange, odd, peculiar, and rare. Right? Okay, so these are rules that might help English speakers to understand Spanish better. There are a lot of rules to memorize, but we have a lot of rules in English to memorize. And I think rules are good because rules give you something to hold on to. right? Versus in English, a lot of times the way you understand something, because you have to understand the context. So this is structural. So when I see a word that comes before the noun, an adjective that comes before the noun, I know that's giving me a saying, you know, ojos, ojos. That means that it doesn't have the usual meaning that I'm used to thinking of. Versus when I see the adjective come after it, I know it's the usual meaning, the meaning that you normally learn in class or you learn when you are reading, you know, some basic Spanish. So when you see an adjective that goes before, that should tell you this is not the usual meaning. Many times it's either the secondary or minor meaning, or it is a metaphorical meaning. I have other cards dealing with rule. I have a number of cards dealing with gender, and I'm going to put those up. Also dealing with, okay, I started dealing with nouns, irregular nouns, and I have a lot of cards dealing with regular noun and regular verbs, excuse me, not nouns, regular verbs. And I have a lot of cards dealing with irregular verbs because the most important verbs in Spanish, some of the most important verbs in Spanish are irregular. There are important verbs in Spanish, like the verb hablar is totalmente regular, is totally regular. The verb comer is totally regular. Okay. The verb tomar is totally regular. These are important verbs. Quedar. Yeah, quedo, quedas, quedaste. Yeah, totally regular. Okay. But then you have verbs like decir, which is super irregular, haber, which is super irregular. Even the meaning is irregular. Okay. Can't think of any other example. I know there's hundreds of, estar, come on, no. Estar, irregular. It's not as irregular as ser. Right? It's not as irregular as ser, but it's irregular. Okay. Ser is irregular in almost all the tenses. Estar, no, the imperfect is not irregular. So I have other cards to put up also. Now, those cards, learning the rule is important because otherwise communication can be cut off because one party doesn't understand the other. Here, it's more detailed. So this is common rules. These are general rules in Spanish. We looked at definite articles. We looked at adjectives. When the adjective goes before, when the adjective goes after. Let me see. Let me look at my paper here. We looked at, but basically adjectives, articles, which are adjectives. Okay. Agreement, positioning. So this is Corella Ficklin McLean. Welcome, WYLCONE.com. Thank you for coming to my YouTube channel or to my platform or wherever you find this. If you find this at all helpful, I would appreciate if you would subscribe so I can get, my goal is to get 1 million. Oh, I know people are saying, I know if you listen to it, you're saying, good luck, honey. That's ironic. But, you know, I know if I don't do something, I'll never get 1 million. So you do it, and then you put it out there in the universe, and whatever happens, that's what happens. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing and hope to see you in my next videos. And have a good day. Bye.